Hi, my name is Michelle Williams, and I'll be talking about the decriminalization of physician assisted suicide, a legislative amendment that took place on February 6, 2015. A bit of background. The British Columbia Civil Liberties Association filed a lawsuit in 2011 to challenge the laws that criminalize doctors for helping competent, seriously ill individuals hasten death as they wished it. The lawsuit argued that the right to control when and how to die is integral to the life, liberty, and security of seriously ill Canadians. This case was taken to the Supreme Court of Canada on October 15, 2014. On February 6, 2015, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of decriminalizing physician-assisted suicide by affirming the right to dignity and self-determination at the end of life. And up to this point, only a regulated continuation or discontinuation of treatment based around individual consent or that of a substitute decision maker was regarded as the closest to assisted suicide as one could get. The last case was about 20 years ago, the case of Rodriguez versus British Columbia, which, even though the plea was denied, instigated a social thing that sought to the legalization of assisted suicide in places such as Washington, D.C., Oregon, Belgium, and the Netherlands. Three concepts that need to be understood: physician assisted suicide, euthanasia, and autonomy. With physician assisted suicide, the doctor provides means by which the patient can end their life by their own or on their own discretion, usually in the form of a prescription. Whereas euthanasia has the physician be directly involved by administering intended procedures themselves. Autonomy basically refers to a person's rights and freedom to be able to make personal choices and decisions in relation to their well-being. Those affected by this change largely include the patients as receivers of this service and the doctors as service providers. The Global Mail Web News said that Justice Lynn Smith, a former law dean at the University of British Columbia, found that the now former system worked to protect vulnerable people from unwanted death, mainly those deemed incompetent to give proper consent. Basically, the court did not strike out the criminal code's prohibitions on assisted suicide, but said they no longer apply to the extent that they prohibit physician-assisted death for a competent adult person who, firstly, clearly consents to termination of life, and secondly, has a grievous and irredeemable medical condition which includes an illness, disease, or disability that causes enduring suffering that is intolerable to the individual in the circumstances of his or her condition. With the Supreme Court of Canada's unanimous decision, only doctors may lawfully help competent adults who are grievously and irredeemably ill to end their lives, meaning that certain people who had once dedicated their service to preserving lives would soon have to take the lives of competent patients. With this new ruling, the question is to who should then help take the lives of consenting adults. The Canadian Society of Palliative Care Physicians conducted a survey 1 month prior to the High Court ruling, which showed a majority of 74% of its members opting to not help their patients commit suicide should the act become legal. Personal morals and medical ethical values as a standardized mantra also play a role as one tends to quell any overzealous reach the other may have. For instance, for a doctor, the idea of doing no harm may encompass not denying a patient relief via death. And while the Hippocratic Code recognizes the pseudo power over a patient's life the doctor holds, it urges that the doctor approaches this with humility and refrain from playing God. Here are my discussion questions. What are some of the possible advantages and disadvantages to this amendment? What do you feel is or would be beneficial or wouldn't be beneficial due to the legislative amendments that are just made? Also, Countries around the world are undoubtedly and slowly conforming to this reasoning. Do you believe that the Hippocratic Code should be amended to better regulate this trend? Why or why not? These are my references should you choose to delve deeper into these issues. I'd like to thank you for staying through this presentation, and I do hope that it has enlightened you a bit.